Hello and welcome everybody to yet another episode of the Sustainability Sisters.
So today we both are going to talk about the materiality assessment, and Sanchari is going to talk a little bit dive deeper into how such materiality assessment happens, and we are going to ask a few questions on the same. So I'm curious actually, and because materiality assessment is kind of a topic which I'm still not able to understand fully. How do we perform it? How do we actually do the assessment? Because it's a somewhat critical topic that we all are struggling with right now. So, Sanchari, I'm really excited to learn about materiality assessment today. But before we dive into it, can you tell me what exactly materiality reality assessment is?
Definitely. हमारे पास रोज काफी सारे लोग आते हैं पूछते कि why are we conducting the materiality analysis? How is double materiality different from materiality analysis? कितने रेगुलरली कंडक्ट करना चाहिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को क्या फायदे है राइट सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ क्रैश कोर्स फॉर यू प्रेरणा ऑन डबल मटीरियलिटी बाय द एंड ऑफ दिस तुम्हें सारे सवालों के जवाब आएंगे ठीक है Sure. So materiality assessment. It's pretty intense. Materiality is basically तुम समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हो from two aspects for the company, right? कि what impact the company has on its own stakeholders and how are these stakeholders ultimately impacting the company. So you're trying to understand two points of view for any business to function, and it refers to business importance because materiality is double only when there is impact materiality, which means your organization is impacting its stakeholders and you're trying to understand from them how the organization is impacted. And then the financial aspect comes in place within double materiality, where we are trying to understand how these stakeholder perspectives are coming together to financially become of significance to the company, what they can do
Right.
better, how they can make more profits. Simple. Basically, they set the baseline expectations from each group of stakeholders, taking into perspective individual stakeholders. By conducting the double materiality analysis, a company is basically able to understand what are the primary expectations of its stakeholders.
Okay. So, materiality we understand from a perspective of the stakeholders and the business, the impact that business is having. Then we understood that we are having impact on the business and as well as on the financial side as well.
Right.
So, why is it so important for companies to conduct a materiality assessment? Why is it getting so booming right now to conduct a materiality assessment?
One question that say current reporting disclosures in India, BRSR for example, is asking is what are the risks and opportunities that you have identified within your business, right? How are you going to identify risks and opportunities? What will you do with the risk? You're basically going to look at all the important issues that is affecting your company, right? And then you're going to find out which ones of these are actual or potential risks. And then you go on to understand which risks are positive, which are negative, and the positives turn into opportunities. So there you can classify which important issues become your risks and which become your opportunities. In fact, you can have the same material topic to show risk and opportunity within the business. For example, I take a cybersecurity company. Okay. And for them, data security and privacy measures is like a impact identified. And we are saying that the risk of this is if they do not follow safety protocols or if they are there is some data breach leading to data privacy matters, it's going to lead to a reputational risk for the company. It's going to have legal repercussions for the company. But at the same time, if you have leveraged data security and privacy, right, you're giving a sense of stability and peace, comfort, also security to your personnel, to your customers. So at the same time, it is a risk and an opportunity.
Yeah, right. Right. So we talked about risk and opportunities. How does the concept of risk and opportunity comes into materiality assessment? I want to understand.
Among risks, the whole idea of assessing materiality of the organization is I want to understand what are my important topics that I need to focus on. What are the risks associated to these most material topics to my organizations? And what are the opportunities I can double down on, make more money, make it in a sustainable manner, make it for whatever reason the investment is coming for, it's because of the investment mandate for the business's own purposes. So, among risks identified, you're basically being able to address ESG issues at the start of your strategic framework. You're identifying the risk, you're creating a mitigation mechanism, you're building a process in place, and you're eliminating the risk slowly and steadily from your system. If it's a grave risk, you're eliminating it quicker. You know exactly how much time and effort and money to spend on that risk. It's the same way with the opportunity. Then in case you might find that a business needs to pivot as at the end of a materiality assessment, showing that your customers are really unhappy with the product, you need another perspective. But the starting point is the double materiality analysis, at least the impact analysis.
Right, right, right. That makes sense actually. So, how does a company go about identifying these material issues, and is there a specific process that they follow?
Definitely. So first, I'll tell you the difference between the two kinds of materiality we're looking at today. We've explained that for impact materiality, which is on your right side, your company is impacting its stakeholders. Your stakeholders could be your consumers, the civil society, your employees, investors, everybody external to the organization, the planet, etc. But on the other side is the financial materiality, where you're extending the company's understanding of these material issues and how they are finally impacting you. So our primary audience would be, say, internal and internal employees, your senior management, your investors and shareholders, who basically want the money to be coming in. उसमें for a materiality assessment, you will need to identify each of these stakeholder groups. So first, what you do is you create a list of material topics. Okay, not even material. You say create a laundry list of impacts, right? We used to, all pros and cons of anything. तुम बैठ के बस list बनाए जा रहे हो कि मेरी company के operation से give me a sector.
Impact.
Yeah, give me any sector.
Alcohol and beverages company, for
Okay.
example.
Somewhere you worked. Okay. For an alcohol and beverage sector, say they are making beer. For that, they need barley. They need hops, right? And they need a lot of water. They need storage places. So, what is the impact of
Manufacturing
it?
also need.
Then you have energy also, correct, for processing the alcohol, for storing it, for fermenting it. All of the skill you need technology, manpower, etc. But imagine if this sort of industry is within a water stressed area. You have an alcohol and beverage factory right next to a water stress area, taking away water from an environment that desperately is trying to hold on to it or requires it. So that's a huge cause for concern. Something similar has happened to, say, Coca-Cola in the past, where they have set up factories in water stress regions. So that would be a huge material topic, not for the company, but for its stakeholders. Ultimately, though, the same topic is going to lead to debate and discussion among consumers, which has happened in the past. And then we talk about how they're being unsustainable, how they're treating people the wrong way, how they're taking away alternative livelihoods from communities, even primary sources of livelihood for that matter. That is how you understand that consumer interests is reducing. So I won't want to pay as a consumer, at least if I am a consumer that believes in sustainable products with easy information available, right? Who is violating regulations, etc. I'll just stop my consumption. Today it might look like a short drop in consumption, but tomorrow maybe more and more consumers like me would want to stick to their ideals even while purchasing any product. That would be
Okay.
financial materiality.
Okay. And so, what would be the next step that we might talk about later as well? That after stakeholder identification and after impact identification, what will be the next steps that we might be following to go down through the materiality assessment process after we explain environmental materiality, impact materiality as well?
So imagine I have all my impacts listed, and then I have all my stakeholders listed. You're basically asking how are you going to prioritize what is material for whom, right? So for each stakeholder, I'm going to check whether each material issue identified is relevant or not. For an investor, they say these guys are building factories in water stress areas. Is it material? I mean, yes. Tomorrow, if the consumer stops buying and my entire production falls, my production is there, but it's not being sold, all of that becomes an eventual problem for the investor. But I would treat my customer as the primary stakeholder for this particular material topic. So then each material issue has to be prioritized for each stakeholder.
Okay.
Within the stakeholders, you can have several stakeholders. Like an IT company could also have an electricity vendor. A manufacturing plant could also have an electricity vendor. But the impact of the operations of the manufacturing plant would say lead to more electricity generation. Although if it was an IT data storage place, that would also need a lot of electricity. Emissions become a critical part of industries and sectors based on the kind of operations they are in. So then you have a prioritized list of stakeholders for this beverage company, which would include the consumers of the product, the investors and shareholders, the internal employees. You could say the community that is living around the area, that had livelihoods around the area, also regulators, media, etc. And then you prioritize these groups over all other groups. For say other groups, somebody would have come up with the idea of fine TV channels come within media. We can add them to that. But what about all the other organizations that are situated near to us? So then you have to sit and discuss with the sustainability team of this company or with this, who do you think is being impacted most? There's no maximum or minimum list here. It just depends on how extensively the business wants to conduct it.
So first, we need to make a list properly that these are the groups that are going to get affected, and these are the impacts that these groups might have impact on through financial materiality or through impact materiality. Okay.
Right.
So my question next is, how do we prioritize all these topics? Maybe we can show by an example how to prioritize that which are most important to businesses and stakeholders.
I'll take you through the materiality matrix to prioritize materiality, right? This example is from Tata Steel in Netherlands. Now, they have mentioned a lot of stakeholders, lots. Look at them. They have internal target groups, they have external target groups, including regulators, and then they have commercial target groups also, where I had mentioned that customers would be one, say, stakeholder group. They have managed to categorize 4 into commercial target groups. Now, usually how we conduct a double materiality or materiality analysis is we consider internal and external stakeholders. If they have given this a 3-pronged approach, taking it another step ahead, they could have had, even in this example, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16.
Okay,
16 stakeholder groups. Yeah.
can we list out possible impacts for each stakeholder group or for each of the group, maybe on a Jamboard or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Then what stakeholders did you want to consider?
So we can consider 3 stakeholders: investors,
Okay.
second, communities,
Mhm.
third, consumers.
And what would be one material topic you want to see relevance for? एक second. Now, what are the material
Impacts.
topics? Impacts.
What are the material topics?
We identified one issue for the material topic, that is for the beverage company, right?
Yeah. Let's consider beverage company.
So we will consider the production in water stressed area. Okay. So in this case, imagine, let's take the consumer first. Let's actually take the community first.
Okay.
What is my community going to be impacted in if I were to produce in a water stressed area? My livelihood will be affected. Imagine I am not being able to draw enough water for home. So my daily life will be affected. Agriculture, if there is any, although in a water stressed area, it is unlikely, but there are places in Maharashtra also, like तुमने सुना होगा Latur, Osmanabad, Saurashtra. These are drought-prone areas, but they still have agriculture for them. They have to support their livelihood and their lives also. So, if this were the
Heard that
impact,
Rajasthan, what in Rajasthan they are doing is they are making a rain shed where all the rainwater gets collected and they're using it for later purposes. There's a whole
we're
big
talking
pond
about
type.
watershed areas,
Yeah.
like water collection within the and bringing it to the
Yeah.
watershed. So Maharashtra has this plan going on for quite some time, where these guys, what they have done is they've built a whole, they've mapped the watershed area. Okay, first off, and then they've built a whole set. It's like a design strategy कि अगर हम यहाँ पानी पकड़ेंगे तो फिर it's easier to send water to the other places. दूसरे aquifers तक पानी पहुंचेगा. It's a very nice initiative by the national government, and Rajasthan has been doing it for years. घरों में they used to have these wells, no,
Yeah.
underground वाले. My house in Calcutta actually also has a rainwater storage tank,
Oh,
and it's
okay,
at the
okay.
basement. हाँ, पानी सीधा नीचे. तो हम लोग बोरवेल ज्यादा चलाते नहीं है. West Bengal has lost a lot of water over the years. So for consumers, I will be more worried about the reputational damage. I will be concerned about the impact.
Product quality.
Product quality, yes. Product quality bhi nahi. My thing is, I know these guys are giving me good products and good quality products, but it's the way that they are conducting their business operations that is the whole issue for me.
Supply chain management.
Supply chain management, will it be important for consumers?
No, I think no. That will be important for investors.
Supply chain management will actually be important. Okay, but that
Can
is
introduce
not. Supply chain management is a separate material topic altogether. Production in water stress areas में मेरा supply chain के साथ है ताल्लुक है. But if I'm bringing it out as a separate material issue, later I can create linkages within the material issue.
okay.
For investors, say production in water stressed areas, producing all of this stuff. It's not selling because my consumers don't want it. My communities are also creating a ruckus over this. So I am eventually facing reputation damage. That too is there. Then I'm facing legal fees, fines.
Legal.
Yeah. So BRSR is asking you, where are all of your operations? What is the revenue from these operations which are being done in water stressed areas? So psych. The double materiality is now this way of fixing everything. Risk opportunity भी मिल गए, impacts भी मिल गए, stakeholder groups भी identify हो गया. Because of this, you've conducted an assessment with all of your stakeholders. You've reached out to them asking, what are your thoughts? Once all of these impacts are identified, say 1 to 10 impacts identify हो गए, सारे stakeholders के लिए you develop a stakeholder engagement form.
Okay. Is there any possibility if you can show me there's a form that how does it look like?
These are all internal stuff that the company does, right? So if I'm reaching out to you as a consumer, मैं आपको वेबसाइट पे एक फॉर्म दिखा सकता है. This is the AA1000 stakeholder engagement standard. ठीक है. अभी इसमें they list down all of the pointers on how do you develop the stakeholder form. उसमें उन्होंने बोला है कि what is the purpose, they have explained in their first section, ठीक है, third section. And then उसके बाद they come into profiling and mapping of stakeholders. Then how you determine कि how are you going to engage with each stakeholder. कंज्यूमर को मैंने बोल दिया, मेल कर दिया उनको, या तो प्रोडक्ट के पीछे एक फॉर्म दे दिया कि इस पे आप रिस्पॉन्ड कर दो. यू सी ऑल ऑफ दोस क्यूट फॉर्म्स दैट यू फिलिंग इन फॉर प्रोडक्ट्स दैट यू यूज्ड, राइट? तो वहां से कंज्यूमर का आया, मैंने कम्युनिटीज में किसी को भेज दिया, या तो वहां पे जो सरपंच है उनको फॉर्म दिया, बोला आप भरवा के ले आओ रिस्पॉन्सेस. So even within each stakeholder group, you have to try and map out the whole stakeholder group. See, मेरी इन्वेस्टर्स 4 हैं, ठीक है, और मेरे को चारों के चारों से रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आ सकता है. All of them are busy. So then you take a relevant sample size. If I were to suppose cover all of my consumers as a beverage company, और वो हजारों में जा रही, तो 10,000 में I try considering say 5% or 10%, and I'll disclose this within my methodology. So you're closing all loops around you. There's nothing left to leak, right? It's a foolproof method. And then you've identified the boundaries of your disclosure to later stage पे आएगा, ठीक है? Engagement plan बनता है. With each kind of stakeholder, this is how we are going to engage. These are the number of people under each group that we are going to reach out to. और इतना नहीं होगा तो स्टेक होल्डर एंगेजमेंट कितना रेलिवेंट होगा. सी मैंने 1% कस्टमर्स का एंगेजमेंट किया, only 1% of all of my customers have gotten back. What is the relevance of this data? कि बात में किस बात के लिए सुनी? Then your engagement plan has all of that. Indicators identify कर. Those are your impacts.
Question. Yeah. So we identified all the impacts that we can ask in a survey or in a interview session or in a form type of questions with the consumers, communities, or investors. But what will be the further step towards it? How will we? Can you map out that, for example, some responses have come which are focusing more on some type of indicators, some type of impacts, and how are we listing out risk and opportunities for a particular impact?
This is a materiality matrix.
Yes.
I love it. It's so compact. एकदम एक बार में सब कुछ बता देता है. So on the left side, you are mapping how important each material issue has been to your stakeholders. There's an aggregate score. All of your stakeholders together, you have assigned them. See, आपने weights assign कर दिए. I think for my organization, my investors should carry 40% weight. Okay, that also you've disclosed in your methodology. अब ये of all of this, उसको आपने नीचे map कर दिया.
Basically, internal and external stakeholders.
Factors, exactly. You consider all of them, and that is how you divide this whole matrix into 4 different sections. Your top right are high priority for internal importance and external importance. Then you have उसी के left पे, which are important to external stakeholders, but for the business perspective, no, they're lower with respect to priority. On the bottom right, you have stuff that are lower for your impact.
Okay. So I understood the part that how we prioritize. This is how we'll prioritize after the surveys that we gave a particular certain weightage to the impact, and then the responses that we got, we align them into a particular matrix, right? So I want to understand, this is a single materiality process, impact materiality process that we do. I want to understand what happens in the double materiality process. Can we go deep dive into double materiality process from initial to the start? We can consider the same example and go forward with it.
So with double materiality, what we have discussed till now has been the impact materiality, where we have highlighted that the organization has certain impacts and we are prioritizing them as per stakeholders. With double materiality, the concept of financial materiality comes into place. Now, I'll take you to one of the articles that I've been reading about these people that I've been reading about. See, then this article on CSRD is basically on identifying the impacts and the risks and opportunities that come in with double materiality. Now that I have identified impacts, what am I going to do with them? I am categorizing them into actual and potential, where actual impacts are whatever I'm facing right now as an organization, and potential is something that I can face in the coming future. And even within actual and potential, we are also classifying as positive or negative. So once your issue has been classified as negative, you can look at it from the point of view of a risk.
Okay.
And if it was positive,
You can look at it as an opportunity.
exactly, it's as simple as that. So I have my positive and negative impacts. For the negative impacts, I've listed down that I need to mention the risk to my organization due to this impact. And among the positive ones, I am mentioning what are the opportunities that I am building out of these positive impacts.
Okay. Can we explain it on a Jamboard or something like that?
Okay. So imagine I have a industry. Shall we choose another sector this time? We'll take alcohol and beverages.
Okay.
Spelling देख लो जरा.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
गलती हुई तो तुम पे भी आएगी, ठीक है? Okay. So I'll just add a shape. अभी alcohol and beverages में if I had to list down risks, क्या लिख सकती हूँ? Give me an
So basically, financial materiality. First,
Yeah.
we list out the financial materiality and then impact materiality.
So we've already discussed the impact materiality, right? You remember we had listed down impacts.
Yeah.
हाँ, अभी
Right.
उसमें we are now going to take this from the point of view of financial materiality. So
Okay.
opportunity. So if I have actual and potential risks, water stress area में operations for an alcohol and beverage company is now becoming an actual risk. Okay, अगर तुम उस perspective से सोचो, it's not coming in the future, it's a अभी का risk right now. It's an actual risk, and the other part is whether it is positive or negative. We've already mentioned that it's negative, so that is how it is becoming a risk. Abhi, water stress may risk will be that due to my operations in the water stress area, this is leading to reputational risk. एक तो water table affect हो रहा है. Then I am like that.
Basically, this is negative impact. Negative.
Lower access to potable or other or water for other use.
So we are doing this financial materiality or impact materiality?
This is financial materiality. So a lot of times what happens is when you're thinking financial materiality, now you're thinking numbers, what is the cost to my operations, all of this. बट ये सब करने के लिए तुम्हें एक स्टेप आगे जाना पड़ेगा. उसके लिए तुम्हें चाहिए क्लाइमेट सिनेरियो एनालिसिस, तुम्हें चाहिए डिकार्बनाइजेशन पाथवे, तुम्हें चाहिए स्ट्रेस टेस्टिंग. These are all topics we want to later. But उसके लिए पहला जो है double materiality analysis. This you are doing to identify your impacts, and from your impacts you're taking a financial point of view where you are identifying what is a risk, what is an opportunity, and then you strategize on how to develop on this.
Okay, got it.
तो रिस्क में ये सारे मैंने डाले, ठीक है, और भी सोच सकते हो तो we can keep adding to this. It's huge. What is
Manufacturing process, meeting out emissions.
emissions from manufacturing process is again another impact. Impact के point of view से सोचो. I'm thinking water stress, alcohol and beverages. तो फिर मैं डाल सकती हूँ कि reduced livelihood opportunities, क्योंकि जो जो पानी से related activities थे anyway the people in the community are not being doing, like opportunities. Local communities will get affected. They are one of the stakeholders. अभी opportunity हम सोच पा रहे हैं क्या? Water stress areas में operation.
We can provide watershed management practices.
We can actually mention, so ऐसा बहुत बार होता है कि your particular impact chosen is not positive, so you are not being able to put an opportunity, or the impact that you have chosen is थोड़ा सा दूर से related but you want to show another perspective of it, so then you add another impact, but this time the impact will be positive and it will be actual. So for an alcohol and beverage company, imagine they have a project ongoing with respect to watershed recharge, and they are exactly doing this because they know that उनके industry से ऐसे region में affect हो रहा है. So they choose 2-3 water stress areas and they have started a water recharge activity over there, watershed recharge activity. That again will come below on the next impact. तो अगर मेरा लेफ्ट में इम्पैक्ट 1 है विच इज ऑपरेशंस इन वाटर स्ट्रेस एरिया, इसको मैं डाल लेती हूँ, तो फिर उधर मेरे पास रिस्क है. सिमिलरली अगर नंबर 2 इम्पैक्ट, फिर मेरे पास एक पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट है दैट सेज watershed activity recharge in specific regions to reduce use of water या तो to recharge water. So then it will come down to an opportunity saying, I am trying to bring my groundwater table up. Positive impact on water table. Increased. I am actually increasing access for all of my stakeholders in the vicinity. This could be employees, contractual employees, whoever is working on site, whoever is living on site for the communities. Then बहुत सारे ऐसे आ सकते हैं ना opportunities में. There's also this concept of saving time, not just money. So then reduced or extra time saved from women not going longer distances to get water.
Right. Right. Good point.
Okay. अभी हमारे पास है list of items में, ठीक है. इसमें से इतना हम करेंगे ना, पहला thing, that's impact materiality.
Okay.
The second we move on to risk and opportunity, that becomes financial materiality का assessment.
Okay. So first we will identify for alcohol and beverages company for impact.
एक
Let's
हमने
try out.
impact, हाँ, एक हमने impact identify, इसका मैं करती हूँ, ये actual है.
Okay. ये potential.
मैं ना अब if I want to see whether the recharge through watershed management is a planned activity for the future, तो वो potential है. या तो अगर वो अभी इन्होंने चालू किया है and in the future उससे recharge दिखेगा उनको, they have not tested it out yet, तो उसको potential डालेंगे. But अगर already they have proof of water recharge, we would put it as actual. For now, चलो let's put this as potential.
Potential.
Okay. अभी ऊपर वाले का positive है कि negative?
Negative.
और नीचे वाला
Impact is positive.
Okay. अभी what is my risk, वो हमने पिछले इसमें mention किया. अगर मुझे opportunity note करनी है, तो मैं क्या करूँगा?
Opportunity would be livelihood access to women who are access to water.
water, time saved for women. इसको थोड़ा frame करना पड़ेगा, but overall idea के लिए. Now, time saved for women, carrying water, the cost of water. In Marathwada, there are regions जहाँ पे लोगों की शादियाँ नहीं होती because उनके गांव में पानी नहीं है. So then, why would you send your daughter to a man's place who doesn't have enough water, even say for drinking? Toilet तो दूर की बात है.
Okay, got it. Such a nice.
I know sometimes the males shift to the women's family home because उनके यहाँ पे water है.
Nice to hear.
Okay, access to water, time saved for women carrying water, cost of water. And all social benefits तो है, like I've mentioned. Environmental benefits भी है. चलो मेरा ecosystem restore हो रहा है थोड़ा सा.
Can we take another impact?
Okay, tell me.
Impact could be emissions from breweries.
Emissions from breweries.
Brewery.
Fair enough. This is sure key.
Actual
Done.
and negative.
क्या बात है? Oh. What would be my risk?
Risk would be emissions.
First, you have to
In the-
identify कि पूरे operations में in and out emission होता कहाँ पे?
emission हो रहा है उसकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जो बॉयलर्स वगैरह जितने भी the boilers that are there that are emitting CO2. They are using fuel to run. For example, propane and natural gas.
Okay, so we have fuel sources like propane.
Scope 1 emissions are there.
NG are being used, leading to emissions. Are being used in boilers, we mentioned कर देते हैं, leading to ठीक है. अब इससे कितना इम्पैक्ट हो सकता है? यूजुअली उनका स्कोप 1 चलो समझा बड़ा हुआ. This is a risk because this will lead to a risk of increasing kg emissions. और propane is propane natural gas burn करना है थोड़ा सा ये. Have you considered or have you done any research as to whether breweries use alternative energy?
Okay.
एक बार सर्च करके देखते हैं. This should be an interesting topic too. अभी के लिए इतना we've mentioned risk.
So this is how we list out all the actual and potential and negative positive impacts, and then further step we take out to list out the risk and opportunities to businesses. Now, when we make a materiality matrix for double materiality, how do we make it? How do we process the
Let me show
double
you through
materiality?
let me show this to you through an example. So we had discussed testing in Netherlands, how they had grouped their stakeholders. We'll take a bank this time, DBS. They were one of the first banks who started doing materiality assessment. It was only with this year that double materiality has become important because CSRD reporting requires you to list down your impacts, risks, and opportunities. Yeah.
Right.
So then with CSRD now, BRSR also wants us to disclose some risks and opportunities related to our operation. So now people are thinking, why not do this together? Abhi materiality matrix, disclosure-wise, it's a great tool. It initially came from SASB, who, like, SASB materiality finder में आपको मिल जाते हैं material impacts for certain sectors.
Yes.
Now, on the y-axis, what you put is impact to society. That is the inside-out analysis. What are we doing that is impacting society? So here they have mentioned on the first most is digital transformation. Highest is macroeconomic, geopolitical, and tail risks. Okay. impact to society because of fluctuations in our business. It is going to lead to some macroeconomic risk. Digital transformation, also they've mentioned. But what is the impact to DBS in general? That is mentioned on the y-axis.
Okay. Got
When
it.
I say digital transformation, एक impact अगर मैं देख रही हूँ, so I am seeing that it is of high impact to DBS. It is also of high impact to society. Yeah. But at the same time, if I'm looking at transparency, and ये सारे जो results होते हैं ना materiality के, these come from your stakeholder engagement forms. Whatever they have responded will reflect in your materiality matrix. So whoever has responded to DBS thinks that transparency in disclosures basically is of low significance or impact
Importance.
to DBS. And it is of low significance to society as well. If you see, this is 2022.
I have one question. So, for impact materiality, we did the sending out forms and rated all the impacts that are most material to the society. We did that with the impact materiality. Now we listed out the risk and opportunities for the uh, for financial materiality. Now those will be listed out as a forms, and now they will be sent out to the stakeholders, and they will identify what are the most potential and actual risk and opportunities to the DBS.
So the risk
Right?
and opportunity section is defined by the company itself. Its sustainability team, its senior management, its ESG team. The results
Okay.
of the survey are made concise, and there is an analysis which leads us to this matrix. This matrix completes impact assessment.
Okay. Got it.
Financial assessment, the results out of the financial assessment are the risks and opportunities to my business.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So this is how the matrix has been formed.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
We can.
The reason I was saying DBS ka ye transparency is so low for both aspects. This won't be the case the next time they conduct a double materiality analysis, because then they will have to consider the risk of non-disclosure, which is going to cost the company as per regulations which are there right now, which weren't there before.
Yeah.
That is why you
there.
should usually you should conduct a materiality assessment every 2 to 3 years, 2 years ideally. But अगर 3 साल हो गए तो time to conduct a double materiality impact assessment.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
This is an example I had taken from one of the documents SASB has as a research module, and they explain कि upper right, upper left और bottom left quadrant में फर्क क्या है.
Okay. This is a nice.
Yeah. So these are the this year. These are the most material topics: pollution, climate risk, physical climate risk. Okay. अभी upper left quadrant में are factors that are more material from the stakeholder than the business perspective. मेरे
Okay.
क्या impact हो रहा है? They're not that highly rated in the x axis. They're higher rated in the y axis.
Okay. Got it.
So all of these: working conditions, responsible marketing, access and affordability, waste and recycle. My consumer is actually wanting to see this.
Okay. Got it. So blue ones are the social factors, and green ones are the
Environmental.
environment.
You can also add governance related factors to this if you want. That is basically एक और icon आ जाएगा आपका और color change हो जाएंगे. But keep integrating all three: E, S, and G. Bottom left quadrant for an oil and gas company is privacy protection. Imagine if this was an IT company. Where would you put privacy protection?
Yeah.
You would go
IT
right on top.
companies, it becomes at the top. Right. 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 So yeah, I think I quite understood the factors that how we list out, how we do the assessment, and how the impacts are listed out, and on those particular impacts we need to list out risks and opportunities towards the same. And I think now I'm able to do a, for example, you can give me a company and I am able to do a assessment on the same.
Definitely.
The challenge comes when the stakeholder preferences we needed to ask. I think that because of that, risk and opportunities might change from your perspective, and the stakeholder perspective might differ. So that the challenge comes.
So then one
Right.
way of addressing it that I learned very recently about is that in the survey form that you are sending to stakeholders, you can just mention another blank saying ki you let us know what are the other topics that you feel should be important to the company. So then the next time around when you're conducting stakeholder engagement for another materiality analysis, you can just add it. We had enough
Yeah.
number of stakeholders, and this is the group of stakeholders that has been repeatedly asking for it, and that's how you justify it.
Okay, got it. That's actually very insightful idea. Yeah.
That's it.
So we understood now. Let's stay tuned for next topic, what we are gonna bring next.
Definitely, I'm excited for our next session. I think stay tuned, guys,
Then stay
and
tuned.
follow us for more on the sustainability sisters.